Today, Aimee will be talking about how smarter marketing builds relationships and drives loyalty. So with that, Aimee.
Thank you. Well, that's quite an introduction. I don't think anyone's mentioned the bathroom before, so of course I'm required to tell that story, which was in the Singapore airport, they actually have an interactive device that when you're exiting the bathroom, it says, "How was your experience?" And it has 5 varieties of smiley faces, or 3 that you can choose, and you can instantly give them feedback. And I thought it was a great example of how when you engage your customers, you can get instant feedback and how many more people are likely to engage and give you that feedback if you make it really easy and interactive versus, please email or come see the manager if you have an issue with this bathroom. So that's the bathroom story. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'll take you through the agenda quickly. I'm going to talk a little bit about the customer expectations, a little bit more about what we've been hearing, and then about how some of the leaders like you and other examples we're seeing in the market are reacting to the changes to really transform the way they do business today. Some real-world examples for inspiration. I always feel like coming to a conference is really about getting out of your office for a change, out of your day-to-day, and a chance to really be inspired and think of some ways to innovate. So I want to share that. And if we have time, a little bit about how you can just begin to assess your own capabilities and where you want to go next. So there's been a lot of talk about all the data that customers are generating and about, thank you, Brian, the customer expectations that we need to deliver on. And, we like to call this the rise of the chief executive customer, because it's not about, just what we can do with the data, but really about reorganizing what we do to meet the customer's demands, because if we don't, we know they're in control and they will go somewhere else. So how do they have so much control? As we know from all of us, ourselves as consumers, they're increasingly connected. And if you look at the data, even though we know that, the data continues to amaze. 4 in 10 smart users, search for an item in store. Fully 86% of us are using multiple channels before we make a purchasing decision. And we really expect that our experience is going to be consistent across these channels. And in fact, we found another survey study that a full 66% of people who have a poor experience on their mobile device then said they're less inclined to go back to that retailer in any channel whatsoever. So having a consistent experience is really important. And our overall expectations from being connected all the time have obviously skyrocketed. If I check in, like yesterday, to my hotel, and if I decide to sign up for a loyalty program that I'm not already on, I don't expect to hear in a week in the mail. I don't expect to hear in a couple of days. If I get up to my room and my phone has not buzzed yet, I figure out I've filled out the form wrong somehow, right? So there's this continuous engagement thought that customers are expecting. And I'm connected all the time, not just to my bank and my retailer and expecting to interact with them, but of course to everybody else, all the communities that I care about. And as we know, that means that it's not just a two-way communication, but that the most powerful marketing tool that's been around forever, word of mouth, is really just accelerated and amplified out there in the market. And I have the control to spread the word, positive or negative, about your company all the time. So what we're finding is that, as the chief executive consumer comes to be and is in control and is empowered, it's forcing us to change the way we do our jobs. And that means going beyond, yes, it means being able to address multiple channels, multiple devices, and provide a consistent experience, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But even beyond that, to really innovate in the way that we engage. So there was some conversation about building trust, building loyalty, not just maintaining it, but how you build it further, right? And for us, the ability to engage all along that purchase cycle and over time, right, is prime for driving loyalty. Because as they engage, that drives loyalty through the involvement of both the person participating in providing content, as well as then our ability to share that out to their peers. So, for example, in marketing, it is about personalizing that experience, but it's also about user-generated content. I saw Uncle Ben's commercial last night, and they're asking, right, moms to send in videos of them cooking rice and healthy recipes. And you know that when they get that and they air that back out, right, that type of marketing is more engaging and is going to build more loyalty, both with those who directly participated as well as those that they reach over time. And same thing at every point in the selling cycle of commerce. In selling, we have social models now, so it's great. I have the ability to go out and do some sales for you. I drum up business. There's a high-end bike company, and basically the price that I pay for that bike is based on how many of my friends I also get, right, to get that particular bike made. So I'm engaged in that part of the process. In service, we have customers who are monitoring the website in a way that they can tell when a problem is happening so that they know they can notify the customer service reps so that the calls are going to start coming in, and here's the problem that it's going to be. And I've talked to marketing, and here's the offer they want you to make. For this customer who is a gold level or has this clip level of purchase in the past, we're going to make this particular offer to make this right. Or here's the information of the user-generated video that provides how to use this product well that we're going to have at the ready. So they're preempting and providing then a positive, surprisingly positive experience at the service side of the cycle that, again, builds back into the loyalty. And all throughout, there's examples of how you can really start to innovate to drive loyalty at every part. So as you can tell from these examples and some of what came up in the earlier conversations, getting to this type of innovation does take collaboration. So it takes collaboration even at the level across marketing, folks that are focused maybe on particular channels in the past or to particular phases of the marketing cycle, as well as other functions within the business. So we spend a lot of time with clients talking to them about what information do they need to bring together to have a 360 view of the customer, and where do they start and how do they grow? Is it important for them to know what happens e-commerce on the e-commerce site as well as in-store? How do they integrate that into a profile to then be able to provide more innovative services? So I think for all of us that have a customer-facing role, whether it's e-commerce, loyalty program owner, et cetera, we are in a really exciting time, right? Because we are in the position of being able to step up as the voice of the customer and really take a leadership role as companies start to innovate and reorient around the consumer. So that's kind of some of the excitement that we have and what we call smarter commerce, of this integration of function, all geared toward the customer experience. So if we have the opportunity to be leaders, where do we start and what do we focus on? From the work that we've done with thousands of clients and specifically interviewing 1,700 CMOs and looking at the research out there, what we found is that there are really three imperatives that marketers are focused on in terms of driving this new level of loyalty and customer experience. So the first, which we've heard a lot about today, is really leveraging smarter data and analytics to understand each customer as an individual. And what that means is sometimes you actually know who it is. You know that I'm Aimee and that I'm a gold member and that I've purchased, that I flew to Singapore last week. Maybe you don't know I used the bathroom. Maybe you do if you're monitoring Twitter with it as well. You might only know that I've been on your site for X amount of time, but you know that I have abandoned my shopping cart, or that I have searched for multiple products and chosen the middle-priced one. So there's lots of ways, right, of identifying as an individual. We love to have every bit of data. That's not always possible. The point is to use analytics to customize the experience to be relevant to where I am in the decision process. I loved at the Boston Pizza example when he talked about the restaurant decision hierarchy, right? And because they understood that my first choice is whether to eat in or out. Then I move to, if I'm eating, right, if I'm going to order in, how I do it, et cetera. And I expect that you are going to, intercept me at each point of the way with a relevant message or offer based on understanding that decision hierarchy. So I think understanding your customer's decision path and making sure that you're delivering the right information at each point is really important. which goes to the second point. Once you know about me, I expect you to deliver a system of engagement. I'm going to talk about some examples that are going to show both of these things. I want to see value at every touch. And again, because you have so many different ways you can deliver, not just deliver information, but engage me and create experience, I'm looking for marketing that is less of a sell and more of a service. And then finally, designing your culture and brand so they're authentically one. So all of these concepts are not new, but given the environment we're in, given the access to technology that we have, given the digital world, right, there's a new way that we need to execute. So in designing your culture and brand so they're authentically one, that's always been true that your employees and that your sales force represent who you are. They are key for your customer service, right? Everybody who touches the customer. But in today's environment with social media, et cetera, it's more and more that your organization is transparent, and every touch point is an opportunity to provide value and build loyalty with your customers. So I want to talk about some examples of where these imperatives have been used. I mean, we have clearly seen that forward-thinking companies financially benefit from putting these things into practice. So the first one I want to talk about is L'Occitane. If you don't know them, they are a beauty products retailer, traditionally bricks and mortar, very beautiful locations. They have multiple, as all retailers, multiple products, multiple offers and new products in any store at a given time, and very helpful staff that would help gear you toward the ideal items. So as they moved online into e-commerce, they were kind of trying to take that view of providing everything and that choice out to their customers, but it didn't translate that well, because what it resulted in, as Brian referenced before, some retailers, too much overload of information going out to customers, too often, contact fatigue. They're trying to put all the offers and new products in front of them without a salesperson, right, to walk them through it, and it just wasn't effective. So what they did was they implemented some new digital analytics that allowed them to collect information, behavioral information at the customer level, so that I can understand what you're browsing as a customer, I can understand your shopping history, and then combine that with information you've provided in your profile to build a rich profile about the customer. And then to take that and to take groups of customers together to personalize an offer for them based on product affinity and other features. So on the surface, this seems pretty straightforward, right? I want to basically segment my customers and provide specific offers. What's happening with data now and what's different now is that it's much more dynamic, meaning once they've established that profile, they are continually building, based on my behavior on the site, continually building and refining that profile and learning more and more, as well as learning more and more about which offers, because they're capturing what happens rapidly with the response rate, are working, and it's getting smarter and smarter. In addition, they're able to to act quickly, meaning a segment is not something I set up once in the system and then, for all time or for the year or for 6 months, I'm going to send all these offers to, this type of person with this behavior. No, I'm looking at trends. I'm seeing very frequently or almost real time what the trends and behaviors are, so that then I can rapidly create new segments and target test offer or experience with them, and then roll that out. So it's very dynamic. I can also take a segment or a group of customers that I've targeted and not just target them through that digital, but take that group of customers and then target them out through other channels, such as an offer that they can bring in store, direct mail, catalogs, etc. So it's much more dynamic, and you can see some of the results that they've had here, which have been pretty extreme. So they drove up actually their open rates on their email by 65%, their conversions by 1,700%, and their revenue as well. So kind of staying in the same category, because we're moving from L'Occitane to Boots. So Boots is a UK pharmacy and beauty products provider. They have 2,500 stores. There are a variety of stores, large 4 stories to small ones. And what I really like about this is, if you look at the brand and their approach, and if you've ever been there, I'm sure you're familiar with them because they do have very loyal customers based on their customer experience, is that, all along they've said, look, our whole job, our whole mission is to understand women who shop here, really have clear insights about what motivates them, and then to deliver what they want, right? Pretty simple. That being said, that is still a huge, vast market, women who shop, right, for beauty products or for health products. So, we need to get more, how do we, in this day and age of digitization, how do we take that same mission and really modernize it? So what they wanted to do, they first started with the loyalty program. They said, we have 17 million participants in this program. This provides a single identifier. So the first thing they did was really leverage that for both in-store and online so that, again, it was easier for them to create customer profiles with a rich set of information through multiple channels. And they then said, well, great, but obviously we have to segment or we need to personalize within the loyalty program because we have everybody from 18-year-old girls trying out makeup to like 70-year-old biddies who are trying to stay healthy. So one of the groups, for example, that they realized is, parents, moms, and they recognized that they could offer a parenting club and that naturally as the children went through particular milestones, that was a great time to build additional loyalty, and it was a great time to provide additional services and offers, right, to these women. So what they did is they took a really multi-channel approach to create this system of engagement. So, for example, they knew that when women were weaning their children off bottles and breastfeeding and moving to food was a really critical time that they needed more support. So they looked at what they could do across all channels to really drive engagement. So they had mothers providing videos to each other about support and tips and things that they could do online. Well, also sending specialized catalogs about specific types of products they could buy, and then particular offers and gifts that they could pick up in store. So they really had a 360 approach. They've had a really innovative approach for mobile as well, going back to understanding the context of the customer. And I think this morning there was a question about cannibalization, but understanding the context of the customer, they said, okay, for mobile, what are our shoppers doing when they're on mobile? How can we help them? Because we know they're going to use mobile, and we still want them in the store. Well, we know they optimize their mobile approach for helping with store locator and then providing product information, reviews, etc., because that's what you do when you're in the store. And they're making it easy to access that. So I have that when I'm there. I can look up product information, ratings from other customers, and then I can now be able to receive new offers, etc., that may keep me in store. And the last one that I want to talk about is Shop.ca, because here we are, right, in Canada. And what's really interesting is that they're the largest online marketplace. I'm sure many of you know who they are. And they, as a startup from the very beginning, they had a social shopping model. And their loyalty, so the way that they drive loyalty and points and discounts is all along they've always had a not just shop and earn, but shop, share, and earn approach. So they have a real gamification approach, meaning you earn badges and you earn rewards based on how much you participate, how much you refer other customers, and how much you share. So you can see, I think, from these examples how some of these leading companies are really personalizing the experience for their customers, how they're creating a system of engagement that, again, is much more active with their customers and doing that across multiple channels. And then leveraging social. Back to on the Shop.ca, not just what you're seeing here, which is huge with their model with customers, but if you look online, the CEO, I just forwarded the other day on a tweet with one of his blogs. He's very active, right, on social media and blogging and really living the values that they're talking about with their customers. Let me end here to talk about, which is, as we talk about all of this, what I think is so exciting with this group is really just how critical your role is and how much of an impact you can have. In summary, as we looked at, and you've been hearing from everybody, the omni-channel experience is really critical, right? And the customers don't think about it in terms of, this is what I did on mobile versus this versus this. They think about it in totality about how they've engaged with you as a company and a brand. And every one of those interactions, right, has an opportunity to drive loyalty, and you have an opportunity there to really step up and lead as the voice of the customer in driving innovation and then results for your company moving forward. And another piece of research that we did recently showed that consumers consider the post-purchase experience part of their interaction with retailers and companies as the most impactful by far. And I would guess that for those of you in the room, this isn't surprising, but I'll tell you, talking with lots of different types of marketers and customer-facing audiences, that they are often surprised by this. But of course, we're not. Your relationship with with companies, as was talked about in terms of trust and in terms of building relationships over time, going from transactions to relationships, is that you have a lot more time you spend with a company when you're not making a purchase than when you are. And so I think we all in this room, have an opportunity to really drive huge impact and results going forward. Thank you.